This is the story of Linn, Duachaill, a lost Viking settlement, which 1200 years ago was one of the first Viking settlements in Ireland. At the time it rivaled Dublin in size and importance.
Folklore said it was there, but all traces of it had disappeared until a group of archaeologists and local historians set out to prove its existence.
The first Viking raid took place in Ireland in 795, and as one historian states,
for the first 40 years or so, from 795 to around 836, Viking raiding followed a clear pattern. The raids themselves were hit-and-run affairs by small seaborne forces whose ships were fast enough to give them the tactical advantage of surprise. These raiders appeared quickly to attack mainly island and coastal monastic settlements and disappeared just as quickly.
But in the 840s, the Vikings changed tactics and began to overwinter in Ireland in fortified settlements.
This windswept field just south of Dundalk seems an unlikely spot for Ireland's capital, but if things had been different, Annagassan in County Louth might have been the principal city on the island of Ireland. The Irish annals document Viking activity here from the 820s, and their arrival, quote, commenced a time of terror and bloodshed. The annals record the Norwegian Vikings, the Fingal, or fair-haired warriors, founded a permanent settlement here in 841. The Danish Vikings, the Duachaill, or black-haired foreigners, arrived in 849. The annals relate that in 849 a great battle on sea and land was fought between both, which the Duachaill made, quote, great slaughter of the Fingal, drove them out and settled here. The historian and academic Canon Leslie noted, quote, elsewhere in Ireland the Vikings settled down in peace and embraced Christianity, but here they were established solely for the conquest and described by the annals as, quote, furious, pagan, ruthless, wrathful people. For 50 years it was a base for launching raids against Ireland and Britain, but in 891 they were expelled by the Irish, but returned 20 years later and stayed until 927, when then the fleet departed.
These settlements were called longports. The word was used in the 840s in the Irish Annals of Ulster and were essentially Ireland's first towns.
These camps were fortified areas along rivers, usually at a tributary, where both sides were protected such that the Vikings could port their longboats. The sites were easily defended, sheltered and gave immediate access to the sea. The archaeological site of Linn Duachaill was discovered in 2010 on a flat area on the River Glyde, after a team of archaeologists and geophysicists had searched from 2005 to 2007. They found a pattern of straight ditches, unlike the usual circular forts built by the native Irish. 3 test trenches were dug. The team excavated a defensive rampart consisting of a deep ditch and bank. This wall would have protected the fort on one side, while the other side would have been protected by the River Glyde and the Irish Sea. Objects found included Viking ship rivets, cut-up Viking silver, slave chains and looted Irish metalwork. They believe what they found was a huge fortified settlement of up to 150 acres in size. One of the team stated, quote, while Dublin developed as more a trading town, this appeared to be more of a raiding town. He goes on to say, quote, from here they attacked inland. They flattened all the monasteries in County Louth. They went to Armagh 3 times in 1 year. They went as far as the Shannon, deep into Longford. So there had to be a great amount of Vikings here. I would estimate 4,000 or 5,000 Vikings here, with up to 200 ships. The keeper of Irish antiquities at the National Museum of Ireland, one of those who helped uncover the settlement, said, quote, there's been a bit of mystery about where exactly the site was located, or what exactly the site consisted of, and antiquarians and historians and archaeologists have been trying to sort that mystery since about 1750. We've now absolutely confirmed the location and nature of the site. It is a very large site and one of the earliest. Sites of this nature, by virtue of the fact that the Vikings were an international phenomenon, are of international importance. He continues, this is a site that has the potential to tell us an awful lot about the early activities of the Vikings in Ireland. This is the phase prior to the establishment of towns like Dublin and Wexford. Linn Duachaill was eventually abandoned in favour of Dublin. Experts believe that this was because Dundalk Bay is shallow and access to the Clyde River was dependent on tides, which effectively meant the Vikings were stranded upstream twice a day. That left them and their ships vulnerable to attack, and it became too big of a risk. This is Dublin today. It is hard to imagine what it would have looked like when it was founded almost 1200 years ago. Dublin comes from the Gaelic dove, meaning black, and Linn, meaning pool. Now Linn Duachaill, or the Pool of Duachaill, can give us an idea of how a modern city may have started out all those hundreds of years ago.
Rund ac fe fflaiddi, rodnam gerdi. Spase yddo honna rithia, sa'n feri mawr o mwrn i ddawgi.
Thank you for watching, but please like and subscribe, as this will encourage future productions.